but once they were off the board, put JDG in an uncomfortable position. You never know. TT this time going on to the blue side. I believe JDG have chosen red, Dagda, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's one side selection each, then loser off for game 3. I will just double check and confirm that. While, look, let's get the picks off the board. You said it, and TTT did it.
Yeah, they get rid of the Rumble. I mean, this was such a strong pick for Kanavi, and it has had 100% presence in all of our, 16 games in the LPL now. It is an incredibly strong jungler, and I'm not surprised to see it banned away. It's going to be the 6th time that we've seen it banned away so far. So just sitting about a 40% ban rate.
Yeah, it's a lot, right? We're starting to get a better understanding of what 11.11 is looking like holistically. Nocturne, Karma, Lulu, a lot of protective champions. That could help out someone like Sam D, but going on the Varus yet again, JDG not afraid to leave that open. While for JDG, they're like, hey, let's go. Kanavi priority once more. His Nidalee was huge, and I wouldn't be surprised if they paired this with the set or if they look for something as aggressive for an early jungle pick.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, right? I mean, why not just go for the Nidalee here? You get this great combo again where you have the face breaker to set up for the spear, to go for the Nidalee dives. I mean, Set's great at tanking the turret as well. It's very similar to the way we used to look at the Renekton too. Jhin being picked up again though, super high priority here. I'm actually kind of surprised by this again, because you have it in a situation where instead of leaving it to the next pick, you can go towards picks that do super well into it, right? The Bard is the common counter pick because you can just use that Tempered Fate to shut down the curtain call every time it comes out.
And I'm not surprised that they're doing this again. It's like they've got a strategy in mind, but further to it, Dagda, I just love that JDG, their plan is every time, all right, Loken is not the core part of our team, and we know that. We know this team's about Kanavi, about Zoom. So the bottom lane left on that, well, safe lane, you can build the range yourself, and you can actually have an effect on the Varus, and you can probably hold off and wave clear. While for TT, they're saying, hey, all right, let's build the rest of our comp. Renekton, Diana. Oh my lord. Now, if this is jungle, remember this has been buffed up. She has great AoE now, and Diana's a very new champion since we last saw her in Summoner's Rift.
I have been dying to see Diana come out. It is such a strong pick. You have obviously a lot of skirmish potential coming through with her. That ultimate in team fights can wreck people if they group up. Like, this could be insane, but we're getting a season 11 champion coming in. It is going to be Viego picked up for Kanavi there. Well, I'm assuming Kanavi in that jungle. One of the things about Diana is obviously that she can have some effects when it comes towards the early stages, but certainly wants to hit that level 6 and kind of scale into the game where she's able to get the Nashor's Tooth and these kind of items. So Viego jungle will actually get the time for himself to get his own items in play and not have to worry too much about trying to match an early game jungler.
It's already an exciting game number 2. We've got different picks coming across, the Diana, the Viego running into one another, presumably until we find out exactly where their final position is. But for now, we have that mid lane set up in bans, rather. We have the Zoe banned away by TT. JDG getting away some of the engage potential, because Diana's a great form of engage as well, right, Dagda? But a little bit more follow-up engage, I should say. Thresh is part of that book, and they take away Patch's champion.
Yeah, just trying to make sure that they can try and get rid of anything that's, going to be able to help this Varus in the bottom lane. It means that for TT, you're kind of defaulting back to the Tam Kench here, or maybe if JDG want to even take that away, you could look to see some other kind of creative stuff come out. But honestly, you're just kind of going, right, we're just going to force you guys to go nullify that bottom half of the map. Whereas again, we can then look to focus, especially for the JDG side, up towards that top half of the map as well. Now, getting this blind Silas, I am not a big fan of it. We've seen it come out quite a bit, and although Silas is very strong, there's a lot of picks that can do incredibly well into him. He actually opens up for a lot of melee mid laners as well that can do relatively well into him, but we'll have to see exactly what TT decide to go with, and for Captain. But for Captain specifically, who has been someone who likes to go aggressive in lane, likes to outplay his opponent, I feel like now he's got his kind of pick of the litter here, but it looks like he's going to be taking that Jace anyway in towards the mid lane.
Yeah, I can't wait to find out where everything sits here, Dagda. For TT, yeah, I know, right? Like, it's like, is it Renekton? Is it Jace? We know that the Diana is definitely jungling with the Nautilus locked in. Dagda, quick stat for you here as we round out compositions. Patch has never won on Nautilus in his career in the LDL. Now, of course, this guy came away from a couple of different LDL teams, was on the TT roster squad, as well as Dominus eSports in the past. ES Sharks, everyone remembers from Korean Challenger, who almost made the run up. his Nautilus in his career is 0-6 Dagda, so hopefully he can get his first win here today. As
but
for
look,
the side of JDG, they've rounded out.
New patch.
Okay,
it's a new patch.
It.
It's a new patch.
No,
you know, you got to see what he's going to be able to do. But I do agree with you. I think here, especially if you're nice flex here from JDG to pop that set down to the bottom lane, this is now a position where Sam D, you don't have a huge amount of protection down in the spot side because you haven't gone for that Tam Kench or the Thresh. And as well now, you've got a very aggressive support here that can look to try and go for the flash early, see if you can try and set things up. Now, again, Hex Flash is not available, so this set support is not as big of a menace in the lane, but certainly can still do a lot of work when paired with something like the Jhin that can set up for like a deadly flourish play into some of these face breakers.
I truly wonder what's going to actually happen towards the secondary tree. Might opt them off completely and go for like a domination tree, get that ult up on a lower cooldown, maybe get some taste of blood in there as well as the set. We'll find out in a moment, Dagda, as we head on with very different drafts, right? We get the Viego. We had no bans of the Gwen or Viego in that game number 1, but this time around, finally getting to see it in the jungle. But most importantly, the Diana coming out of Xiaopeng. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of research here. I'm going to find out if this man's ever played it on the tournament stage. My guess would be no, considering it has never really been a popular champion. But Xiaopeng has that champion pool where we know he can flex, we know he can bring it up, and yes, this is his first ever Diana game, Dagda, so I'm looking forward to him showcasing against Kanavi.
Yeah, he has been playing a hell of a lot in solo queue though, so not really surprised to see it coming out. And there are a few other junglers that have been practicing this as well, so we're going to get a taste to see how it does work on the competitive stage. But again, we're kind of looking at, okay, when we look over at JDG's side, now that we're not playing that set in the top lane, it's going to be a much slower paced game coming through from JDG. They're going to be looking for the scaling, obviously with the Gangplank and the Viego, so you're kind of looking at kind of the 2 to 3 items before you really get JDG coming online properly. Whereas then when we look across at TT, they now have a composition that's like super hard in that mid game.
I was going to say, Dagda, they need to sprint, but JDG are the ones doing the running against Patch. Caught out in the brush, the face breaker start. He's going to have to burn a flash, otherwise he'll die. Ignite goes down. It's Summoner for Summoner, but the flash is the big one for the Nautilus, as JDG are going to commit for the red buff. So Dagda, vertical map start means Sam D and Patch are going to be in a lot of trouble coming through from Kanavi.
Yeah, and it also means that you have the opportunity to punish Patch for not having that flash. Zoom is going to be totally fine on this top side. He was going to get pushed in anyway and was just going to try and keep himself safe. So you've got JDG now setting up a nice play on the map and trying to keep himself safe, as Sam D going for some trades there while he's safe underneath his turret.
Does quite a bit of damage on Lumal, but remember the passive plus the pots he has in hand. Also want to confirm, yeah, it is the inspiration coming through for actually everyone in the game, bar the top 2 in Xiaopeng and Longxing. Interesting little stat for you. Dagda.
Big surprise for me though.
Yeah,
looking at that
it?
For these sets specifically, I actually expect him still to go with the Cosmic Insight. I think Cosmic Insight is super strong as a rune choice, and obviously getting the reduced summoner spell cooldown and all this kind of stuff works very well for a set when you want to be flashing in super aggressively. But opting in instead for the stopwatch, which I think is a bit strange, because you're not, like, as a set you've got so much survivability already coming through from the Haymaker and the shield. I don't feel like you're going to get too much use out of that stopwatch unless you're going like super crazy on some of these dives.
I guess it is the extra layer of the dive though, right? But you're right, it is a crazy room, but I also like that someone like Lumal would be willing to take it, as Kanavi and Xiaopeng facing one another now have full information. That means Zoom is going to have to play really defensively. He's already pushed out in the lane. He'll be caught out here. There's the Crescent Slash coming through as well, but Zoom just walks it out, eats an orange, removes his Scurvy. And this Pirate going to be holding pretty vast towards his top lane turret now that he knows Xiaopeng's still up here.
Yeah, you can see though, both junglers essentially just going for this full clear. Diana there is going to be able to pick up the Scuttle that's about to spawn in 5 seconds. You got the Viego for Kanavi, which is about to go in, but Zoom going very low. These are not the trades that you want to be taking. He might actually be forced off this top turret.
That's a big wave coming in. We'll wait with the barrel. Has enough mana as TP's coming down. That's your gal. It's a huge wave, and this is a level 2 dive that TT are having to deal with. First already dead. Kanavi is going to take Nautilus, and now Sam D against the wall, flashes out, gets the return kill, but it's JDG with an absolute bonkers
Oh,
dive while everyone is falling left, right, and center. What the hell just happened on our screen?
The fact that you actually don't get the, or you get the execute coming in onto the last member of JDG there, a little bit heartbreaking, but overall, I mean, you get the 2-for-2 trade, which you're kind of going to be happy with, but on top side here, while that was all going on, this is the second kill I was talking about. Zoom ends up going down to the dive. We said he'd taken a bunch of bad kills, but messy play on the bottom side. Now, Sam D, yes, gets a kill, but look at that CS. That is a huge amount that has been lost. A 20 nerdy CS deficit, and you've lost all that experience to the turret as well. So Sam D is going to be really sad, but good heads up play from JD. They realised, look, Captain has gone for the ignite in the mid lane. He's trying to go all in on actually killing Yagao in lane, which means that Yagao just pieces out. He goes to another lane, and they find their victory there.
I will say, though, looking at everything, that every play that had the merit there, great for the top side of TT, but I want to re-establish that Kanavi got both of those kills, and it was Kanavi in game 1 who, on the Rumble, got an early lead and gapped Xiaopeng. This time on the Diana, CS is even, but it's those 2 kills that enable an early Noon Quiver, which for Viego is a great way to start the game off, as he's now in the bottom lane again. Patch is going to be walking in here,
Patch.
waiting for that more, but it's going to be used for Kanavi to get out. They're going to go back into the bush. He's hiding around. The Hatroad path has been created. Dagda, this looks like it's it as Lumao flashes in onto Sam D. He's exploded as now taking over the Varus. Patch in a lot of trouble. It'll be Kanavi for kill number 3. And Dagda, it's all in on bot so that JDG can succeed.
Oh, it's a disaster. JDG, like, right now, this Viego is one of the best champions in the game at snowballing.
He's busted.
Like, when he gets a lead, he is so damn hard to deal with, and especially if he can find like the right fights where it's very spread out, there's a lot of skirmishes, it becomes nigh impossible to deal with them. Between the Immortal Shield Bow, the amount of health that he's going to be getting off of the resets as well, like nobody on TT is really going to be able to deal with this Viego.
And bot's now just done. 20 CS lead here for Loken on his Jhin, and sure, he has 4 assists, but he's got the Noon Quiver because he's able to pick up that CS. He got 2 of the turret plating shared, as well as Yagao has to flush away in the mid lane. Meanwhile, good job from Captain. Second game in a row where we've seen this aggression on top of Yagao, and flashes being burned out of his aggression.
I'm looking at Xiaopeng though. Should be hitting that level 6 relatively soon, and is hovering over the wall. Might be looking to go for a potential dive, but against the Sylas, it's so risky because that Kingslayer being able to heal you up so much. But TT, like, I do agree, it's great to see Captain going aggressive. It's phenomenal that he's able to, you know, have this big CS lead that he's gained for himself. But the Ignite didn't do anything. They didn't get a kill. They haven't been able to get any of the gold back. And that TP for Yagao has netted so much for JDG. And again, it's like, if you're going to have Xiaopeng onto this early game jungler that can't really get into your lane and play around Captain, the TP is just a better summoner spell for helping out in situations like that around the map.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you talk about TP and pro play, it's always a topic of conversation as Captain walks back in the lane. Yagao's TP, by the way, will also be up in about a minute or so as he starts catching up in CS to Captain. Hatroad path down from Kanavi, once again, the level 5 Viego, moving towards the bottom lane once more to pick up that Scuttle Crab. And Dagda, just talking about the state of the game here, the gold lead for JDG looks quite slim, but when you see what we were talking about, the scaling elements coming through, that TT were on a timer, as you talked about, this is going to be worth so much more than merely 1,000.
And especially for the Viego, which is accelerated. And now they look like they might even be trying to double down on that again with Kanavi being on this bottom side. But if you get more kills here for Kanavi, it's kind of game over.
I mean, Patch not going to get locked down here. Lumao drags him back in. Kanavi's there. Patch will flash away as Ultimate launches out. Cowboy Jhin gets the last shot into Sammy D. And their bottom lane has to back away yet again because it's happening once more as Zoom in the top side. Xiaopeng flashes in, the Moonfall flies down, and it's a full moon tonight here for the top lane of TT.
I'm so glad that TT are answering elsewhere in the map. Sam D and Patch are done and dusted. Like, there's no real way that they're going to be relevant for a long time in this game. So the fact that you're able to get something back on Xiaopeng is amazing. And now they have the opportunity to get a Rift Herald, potentially take down this top turret, and make sure that Zoom is irrelevant. And if Zoom is taken out of the equation, there is a potential for TT to try and find these 5v5s where you've Longshing TPing in or finding a nice flank. and not allowing JDG to operate in this kind of 4v4 scenario where you've got Longxing trying to push against Gangplank in the side lane.
It's always impressive when you see some of these teams that are maybe middle of the ground that are able to find a response to such aggressive plays that we saw in the early game, Dagda. The ward from TT spots Zoom coming to lane, and the Herald here. Zoom has to make a play. He doesn't quite have the cannon barrage left remaining, but he does have flash. Longxing gets the stun down. There it is again. Passive comes through, and sweep away he will. The Diana Luna rushes in so that TT can rush ahead with this game.
We talked about Zoom, you know, playing his lane so well, doing such a good job. It ain't looking so good this game. Like, again, you hear the Rift Herald go down. You know Xiaopeng's top lane. Although, here we go.
Abscond of Dark Captain's just dead here, Dagda. And thank you so much, says Yagao. Gets one on the board. While meanwhile, bottom lane doesn't go down to the push from Loken. Sam D manages to hold on. Has the ulti now, but Loken a step away from pushing the gold ahead by about 600 once more.
Yeah, and again, though, you got to be careful trying to make these plays bot, because Captain does go down. You've got TP there for Yagao, who's going to be looking for a reset fairly soon. So it's not like you can try and capitalize on the fact that Loken is low mid or try and make any sort of plays bot. You've now got to try and figure out how do we use the pressure that we've got between Longxing and Xiaopeng elsewhere, which the only way you can do it is by hard shoving in with mid with Captain and trying to use the fact that Longxing has his own teleport coming up soon.
That's right. Really abuse that global advantage that you can play through from Longxing. A Zoom with his cannon barrage back up and available as well, still has that opportunity as well. But bottom of your screen, not sure if our chat can see that, Dagda, but there is a big focus on Longxing in this game. You can see in the top of your screens, 1,500 gold ahead. Xiaopeng has barreled in on this win condition for TT. And again, another good state that TT want this game to push even faster. They've got the top turret. Now, what do you want to see done, Dagda? Because Xiaopeng's towards mid. We don't have a Herald up for a while, and the game's a little bit too stagnant for TT's liking. Oh, never mind. Maybe they can answer it for me. Lumao's over the wall. He has to flash, but that's 15 seconds before Dragon.
Yeah, and I wanted to see TT try and make some sort of play towards this Dragon. If you as TT end up in a situation where you can take this front to back fight, I think you're going to be in a better position. Kanavi wants spread out fights. This Viego wants to find a bunch of skirmishes, but if you can like shove in this wave as Longxing, start moving him down, although he needed to kind of do it already, there is the opportunity here for you to stop Kanavi from having as big of an impact in these fights. Catch him out with some of the CC and burst him down.
Here comes a curtain call, though. It's already begun. Flashing away is Yagao, who takes the Chain of Corruption. TP right in front. That's from Longxing. Cannon barrage to zone out, but Xiaopeng's just done the Dragon. And meanwhile, they can turn on Yagao if he comes on in. Moonfall flies through. There's Cole the Weak. And the weak is Yagao. TT with the Dragon, with a kill, Dagda. This game is not done.
And you can see there that when you have the opportunity to take these front-to-back style fights, it becomes a lot more difficult for anyone to really tank up the damage on JDG. Yes, Lu Mao is tanky, but he's not going to be enough to deal with Xiaopeng, who's jumping into the backline. Captain and Sam D providing a whole bunch of poke. This is where you can try and play at range, and in these front-to-back style fights, that TT could find their opportunity to bring this back.
And I also think that in that last play, Yagao was kind of just walking like it was a happy Sunday afternoon in places he shouldn't be. Kanavi kind of doing the same when 3 people were present towards the mid lane of TT. Now just making sure he's shadowing for Zoom, who's trying to get some gold back. But Dagda, I want to come back to it. TT have actually brought this game to an even standstill. They've got their top side of the map in a good position. And remember that the Varus won 2 items. Is still going to be outputting damage to a comp that is bruises apart from this set, right? We're not going to have a pure tank that the Varus is going to suffer against.
Yeah, and that's the big one, is that, like, you can actually deal a heap of damage here, especially to the likes of, you know, Kanavi. You get Kanavi actually going for the Kraken Slayer as well. It's not going to be the Immortal Shield Bow, which we've seen previously. So, especially when you hit Kanavi, that damage is going to stick around for quite a while. Yes, he's the passive to lifesteal it up, but it's not going to be enough, especially if you're looking towards how quickly you need that lifesteal towards these big objectives. So, pair that, again, with Captain. You're actually in a bit of a dangerous spot for JDG if you're not able to get this game into a position where you're the one controlling these objectives, and it's TT who are walking into you blind.
And if they do that, you know, remember that the burn that'll come out will be massive. On the Viego build path note, it has been a mixture of builds, right? You mentioned the Immortal Shield Bow. I remember SOFM went with the Stride Breaker, I think. Part of the
Divine
Engage
Sunderer.
Yeah, we've seen a mixture, right? It's
yeah.
You know, get on las doors. We have everything. So A 3-1 Viego that's coming through, still very, very strong, but I like you bring up the sustain that'll come out of him. Not going to be as much, and it means that the Pale Cascade, the Crescent Strike, everything connecting with the Lunar Rush, followed by that Moonfall. If Kanavi's in it, he will be burnt down. Viego is a very big squish as now onto Lungxing, trying to take the 1v1. Patch is here though, and Kanavi doesn't want to get caught out.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? If you have JDG who are trying to play out through these side lanes, it actually does give quite a bit of time for TT to just kind of wait it out, you know? Get themselves to a position where in 2 minutes they can fight again for this dragon. You've got Rift Herald that's about to spawn as well. Now, Captain being on the bottom side for Rift Herald does mean that with the JDG kind of having a little bit more access to TPs and that, they can look to play towards it, but their main TP user is actually Zoom in this mid lane right now.
Arrowed Path already put down though. Look at where Lumao is. Wants to start the engage. Doesn't have a flash. He's running at the Patch. Will be the first one to be caught out. Dodges away as the Cannon Barrage comes through. That was Zoom's Cannon Barrage. Now, I don't know if he got the upgrade with the doubloons to make them run faster, but yeah, Zoom's having an off game, man.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, Silas is on the other team. There's no one to steal that, but here we go.
Maybe it doesn't matter if Patch just walks into vision. Lumao's here absorbing down. He's dead before he can Haymaker. Yagao over the wall as a Crescent Slash doesn't connect once again. And TT with a numbers advantage in front of the Free Herald. They can use that as well to set up the vision towards Dragon.
But you can see again, right? Kanavi just has to flash out of there straight away. He wants nothing to do with TT when they're all grouped up. They want to try and find these opportunities where there's skirmishes and small little kerfuffles where Kanavi can target down one player, get that reset, and then try and win out the fight in that way. But TT are doing a great job of just grouping up and not giving that opportunity to JDG. And when you look at like, hey look, Zoom not having the best of ultimates there, they're not able to catch out TT, and it means that you're not finding these fights where JDG can get this skirmish kind of style going.
And whenever we see engages like that, Dagda, we got to remember like things like the Cannon Barrage down, Yagao using the stolen ulti, side waves become so dangerous as TT love to be in that position. Watch this again because this was for the Cannon Barrage and Patch was the one who got caught out, but he bought so much time.
Yeah, I mean, he goes golden here, keeps himself nice and topped up. And then, like, this is, like, again, a huge amount of committed on towards Patch, but they're not really able to finish it off. Great stopwatch usage, obviously, which costs JDG out, but yet you can try and make that pick happen, but the follow-up and the amount of CC that TT have between the Croc, the Diana, the Varus, and hell, even the Nautilus when he's able to come out of stasis, means that a lot of these guys like Kanavi and Yagao, who rely on, you know, getting a kind of an extended fight so they can get value out of the healing and the regen that comes through in the kits, isn't really going to be there.
It's going to be so rough. I mean, this is a completely different game too overall. And TT now angling for the dragon here means that JDG might just have to give this one up all the way towards the top side, setting up vision for now. Lumao going in deep around the mid turret while Xiaopeng just going to take this for free. And a much better look to how TT are going. Now, we talked about scaling here, Dagda. We know if this game goes long that JDG are not out of it, but for TT, they're at good pacing now. And what I was saying before is it feels like in these side lanes with the Jace, with the Renekton, you are going to have strong 1-2 item carries that can put pressure onto JDG and force them around the map.
Yeah, and you can see JDG now moving in towards mid, but they are aware of, you know, how vulnerable they are to a lot of this poke. Even Kanavi going for that second item Randuin's, he's like, look, I need to get some sort of armor into my kit. Same when you look towards the build from Yagao, obviously against the AD mid laner, but he's going to very quickly want to finish off that Zhonya's as Xiaopeng.
Lumao flash, Xiaopeng still there, face breaker in. Pale Cascade gets him a bit of shielding here. So Chains of Corruption on the other side. The Crescent Strike works out in the end as Lungxing's come on in. Lumao left without his team and down he goes. JDG look like a completely different beast this game. And TT look none the wiser for being the better one.
And they look like an animal in a corner, right? They actually look like they're desperate to make these plays happen because they realize, look, we've got now 2 dragons in favor of TT. The opportunity to get to Soul Point is there in just under 4 minutes, and these fights are going TT's way. We haven't really got an answer for this, and although you can see TT now spreading out, looking to see if they can play in side lanes, TT have a bunch of people that are constantly protecting their members. They are playing this so well as... There we go.
It hits the Lunar Rush, follow up, the Moonfall in as well. Kanavi's dead. thanks to Patch's great depth charge. Huge shutdown, 4-0-3 Diana, and Xiaopeng is taking back the jungle game.
Yeah, this is not a game where Viego can have a very fun time, and you can see it, Kanavi, despite that early lead now, not really been able to do too much with it. Now, TT will get the bottom tier 1. You can see already Varus is pushing in onto the mid lane tier 1 as well, and if it's just Loken on his lonesome there, you can't really defend that one either.
Dagda, I'm not sure what I'm watching here. JDG falling to pieces, TT happy to be picking up those pieces, and we'll look at the pro view here, because it starts when in the harrowed path, the beautiful Crescent Strike connects that enables the follow-up.
Yeah, and it was just so well played. Being able to spot him out thanks to the red trinket as well. Absolutely wonderful. But the big thing here as well is that, like, how do you try and stop this as JDG, right? You're now starting to fall behind. There's a 2,000 gold lead for TT. So ideally you'd love to have like Kanavi off in the side lane, try and play through that style, like where you can actually force these 1v1s, but the Dragon's already going the way of TT means they've got so much control.
Chance of Corruption goes a little bit wide there. And TT still angling for a pick here. It's a Spectral Maw from Kanavi. Not going to be used to engage Patches 3 levels down from this jungler. Lungshing behind as well with a full Fury bar as Kanavi goes into the camouflage. Lumao and Loken protecting the mid wave, but this is still holding out. It looked like a giant love heart that Xiaopeng wants to elaborate on. The Moonfall there onto 2. It's Zoom and Kanavi, you have to flash away. Golden with the Zhonya's there. Bit of damage on top as well. The Pale Cascade gives shielding, but Lumao on the back end may have done enough work as the flash comes on over. However, TT have still got these side laners in action. Jumping on in though. This is not the numbers advantage anymore. Over the wall, Xiaopeng, the Diana trying to carry. A Zoom still here. It's an absolute fiasco. A fire sale where everyone must go.
And it's an absolute mess for TT. We said already, JDG want these super spread out fights so that then Kanavi can focus down 1 to 2 people. Yagao can focus down 1 to 2 people. And that's exactly what TT handed there. The messy engage means that TT are so spread out that JDG are able to focus down key members and deal with them bit by bit.
After what looks so promising, TT going deep in the jungle, Dagda, we start off with Xiaopeng.
Yeah, but look at where Captain and Sam D are, right? They are nowhere near this engage from Xiaopeng. So when they're not able to burst out one member, then you've got to have the 2 key carries in the mid and the AD carry roll back away from this for TT. Now you've got Xiaopeng and Sam D separated. You've got Kanavi, who's having an absolute field day down on this bottom side. And again, Yagao and Sam D able to Yagao and Kanavi able to get so much of this health back as the fight goes on, because you're getting multiple Kingslayers. You're getting that health that's being regen through the members falling on TT and the passive from Kanavi.
Kanavi, who's now 6-2-2, Dagda, got the Randuin's Omen second. He's gone defensive and he's stopping that AD and Sam D and Captain, and even Lung Xing there as well, who's gap closing towards the middle of our screen right now. Lumao on the angle played so good at distracting 2 members. And JDG now bringing the gold back. They're the team that have the gangplank, the Silas. You know, even we talk about Viego and Jin to play at range. Dragons are 2-1 apiece with the 4th dragon of the game now up. TT hold river control.
Yeah, and this should be easier now. TT just need to try and play this front to back.
Barrage.
No steal come through.
But in the backline, look at what Lumao's doing. Patch has gone in with the rest of his team being distracted. Lumao kites away from the Crescent Strike, and Xiaopeng, the strongest member, is not in here. 4 remain on JDG. Xiaopeng was not there, and everyone's happy to pick up the scraps as Xiaopeng dodges away. Kanavi gap closing as well. The Spectral Maw blocked by a minion wave. Kanavi still wants to take the engage though. Moonfall only onto 1, but is Xiaopeng biting off more than he can chew. He's doing a lot of damage, but now buys time with his little Zhonyas. Xiaopeng again, couple more autos. The Pale Cascade! It was close. But Zoom, the only person surviving in another fiesta of a fight.
That is so many kills going over to Zoom though in these last couple of engages. He's now gone from 0-3 to 4-3. And this is where JDG, yes, they're getting these team fight victories. It's a lot of gold going across, but still, that dragon for TT is crucial. 4 minutes now until that soul point. And these fights are insane. Like, I love the way Lumao is playing them though. the fact that, look, his score is going to suck at the end of this game, don't get me wrong, but look at the distractions that you rightly pointed out, Hysterics, right? Sam D and Xiaopeng can do nothing. He gives his life to get Xiaopeng completely out of the fight, wastes so much time, while the other 4 members, they're playing a 2v4. JDG are just killing Longxing, they're killing Captain, and Sam D is stuck between a rock and a hard place where he doesn't know which way to turn.
And then as the fight goes on, right, it's Kanavi and Xiaopeng who go head to head, and I thought, oh, one-man Moonfall, that's not going to be it. But the Zhonya's pays so much protection for this TT jungler.
Yeah, it's about buying time for that W cooldown. You can see that the Pale Cascade comes in, nearly able to turn that around, and that's the things you can do with a very strong Diana if she's in the fight. Yep. But you can see there, Lu Mao paying dividends by playing this fight so smartly by getting Xiaopeng out of the engagement.
And after 2 big fights, we haven't had a chance to talk about items. Maybe we don't, as TT look to pressure and get their 3rd turret in the mid lane here in the outer. As Longxing being chased by Kanavi, Zoom on the flank as well. Zoom is 3 items, Dagda. He's definitely back in the game as the cannon barrage comes through. That's going to lay it down. Lumel in the back line. Facebreaker comes through as well. And that's already the kill onto Patch as TT support drops. So will Xiaopeng, the most fed member down. And JDG resume control.
JDG did an amazing job there of just managing to stop TT in the tracks. TT weren't really in a position to get themselves set up for the fight, and JDG knew it. They used the fact that they've got the cannon barrage, they've got Loken on this curtain call as well, and can pick off several members of TT.
3k gold lead could go further as Longxing and Sam D now on the envelope of this Baron pit. Not sure if that was English, but I tried it anyway. Baron goes down, JDG 5k, the engage there, Everfrost off the connect, but the deadly flourish from Loken from downtown gives the kill over to Yagao. Another one bites the dust, and this is going to be JDG running it through now with a massive purple worm buff.
And they've got that double TP as well, right? So now you can have Zoom play off in the side lane. He's gone for that early Serpent Fang to try and deal with the Diana. And as well, the Sterix Gauge is going to be coming through in Longxing. You look towards the Yagao as well on the Silas. He'll be a menace in the side lane with the teleport as well. It's like the perfect time for JDG to get this. But you can see here, like, where Longxing is positioned means they're not absolutely not in a position to try and follow up on this. Yagao gets the steal on towards the Barasult as well, which means that any member of TT that steps forward is going to be completely out. I thought Xiaopeng here might try and go for that full engage, try and set something up, but when you have Sam D waiting on cooldowns, no Captain as well to try and follow up on that burst damage, there's just nothing left in the tank for TT.
You have to watch while, you know, TT have to run or die, and as they fall down in the end there now, as they come back up, 5k gold in a disadvantage. Yagao pushing forward aggressively, has the Chains of Corruption. Xiaopeng with a flank though, onto the Moonfall, but over the wall, Loken flashes away. The depth charge was good, but Yagao just jumps on top. Moonfall stolen, it's golden for golden as the curtains will fly, and Yagao ends up cleaning him while the rest of JDG collapse onto TT. The sniping from Loken has been excellent as Zoom now joins the battle. The cannon rain wasn't really there either, but Zoom still puts his pressure down. A big fight. It slows down the Baron push, but TT still lose 2 more.
And they could potentially lose this dragon as well. 15 seconds until that's up. You're going to have the resets that can come through from JDG, and they can fall back to that. Xiaopeng isn't going to be up in time to really try and contest this. And it looks like JDG, with the Baron and this push, have started to right what was a very sinking ship.
I just can't believe Zoom's actually playing the game at this point, Dagda. It's all these fights where he's managed to get resources. The Serpent's Fang, here we go. Is Patch going to lock him down? Level 16 GP getting absorbed as that was a lot of damage onto Patch. He flashes away. And I'm getting another Jack Sparrow moment here as Cannon Barrage not up, but we start sounding the music. TT with 5 in the bottom lane as Patch gets nicked just a little bit by the Deadly Flourish. Loken does not miss this game, and I feel like the person who gets talked about the least has actually been doing a lot from afar in this game number 2 as Xiaopeng onto Lu Mao, the Moonfall comes in, Pale Cascade again, the Crescent Strike, everything launching out, Lu Mao running for his life, the bodybuilder trying to get back to the gym! And he does. He'll go back, but uncomfortably as Xiaopeng was on the chase for a while. Kanavi down to Longxing, Dagda. It doesn't end, does it? Cannon Barrage onto Captain. Spectral Maw at the ready for Kanavi. Will it get the root down? Not going to use it a second time. Meanwhile, topside, Yagao's going for the turret. And, oh my god, give me a break. Depth charge, Sam D. Run away. That's a lot of damage. Deadly Flourish again.
Oh, he's not running.
I told you, he's done it again. Yagal's bought time. He's gone golden. JDG, a 5-man group, have just epitomized out of nowhere. Where did they come from? Yagal fall forward with the abscond abduct, and after that kill, now an inhibitor goes down. They want to end the game, Dagda.
They're going to have a chance as well. It's Zoom going in, but there's nothing they can do.
I mean, look at the burst damage. Longshik buying time with a nice little stopwatch, but he's going to get dunked down. Kanavi picks up the kill. JDG, it was a rough early game, but as the chain lash comes through, the burst as well, they'll secure a 2-0 start to the LPL for 2021 summer.
And JDG have actually managed to bring it back. What really did look like, hey, look, Kanavi is looking good. They're getting these kills on the bottom side of the map, but when we got to those early team fights, they just couldn't quite get the flow together. But as the game started to go on, you could see the split-second decision-making when it came towards engages, and that's where JDG shine. Picking off TT, who are out of position, not setting up correctly in the formation that they needed, and JDG are able to bring it back.
I'm just so surprised that that early game turned around like that, right? The play towards Red Dagda will break down in a second, I'm sure. But we also get a view of what JDG look like when Zoom's not ahead in the early game, when Kanavi can't affect that lane. TT, they targeted Zoom, and look at the result. If it wasn't for that play towards Red Buff, it feels like TT might have been able to take us to a game 3.
Yeah, they were incredibly close, but as you talk about, like, there's still the exceptional star power on JDG that we're able to bring that back. We talked about Zoom pretty extensively. When he was behind, though, it was Lu Mao who stepped up in those fights, right? His performance on this set was absolutely insane, separating the most fed carry from JDG and Xiaopeng out of some of these crucial fights around that dragon, where maybe TT would have been able to get that full wipe, because you can see how close it was, right? Yep. Imagine Xiaopeng had been able to get that ultimate onto several, even 2-3 members of JDG, with the rest of TT there to help. But amazing performance coming out from the support of JDG, amazing engages coming out from Zoom when he was able to get himself back into a position where he could influence the game, and JDG were able to bring it out on top.
Yeah, if only just in the end. I mean, some great gameplay, some great team fighting. It shows you that JDG are still a team that can really play through the 5v5. The scaling in their favor. The early game evened out to a degree with the bottom lane dive, but again, it was Xiaopeng diving on top of Zoom, bullying this gangplank. But then when he got into the fights, he finally got some resources, and Zoom was able to play the game again. So I think it was a really fun game too, for something that... You know, for something that I don't even think it went over 30 minutes in the end, Dagda. It was a back and forth. Quick games. You know, quick game 1 and game 2, despite the result.
Yeah, I think, though, it still kind of brings a lot of positivity, right? Because one of the conversations we've been having is, you know, how does the bottom of the table teams look? And especially when you're seeing, like, hey, TT having a pretty good performance here against JDG, at least in game number 2. We saw Up yesterday having a really strong performance against FPX. It really does feel like a lot of our bottom of the table teams are leveling up, but certainly JDG, you can still see they're just a different beast. Like, the level of these guys is just it's just insane.
Yeah, it is. It is. The individuals step up to a degree. I mean, I think Kanavi had a great series. Loken had a very good supporting role, even in both games. And you can see what they want to do with their draft, right? Loken is not the carry. Loken is, once again, he's not the 80 carry that they're going to put resources into. Loken is going to be the bottom laner who sits with Lu Mao, or Lu Mao's going to start roaming, and they're going to help the rest of the map, right? The utility 80 carry. That's why Loken was so great in that meta, I felt, because he enabled the rest of JDG, especially people like Kanavi, who, again, had another great jungle game, as we're saying.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's kind of JDG saying, hey, look, we don't care if you go for this Varus pick. It's had 100% presence. It's been it's the most banned AD carry that we've had this split as well. But obviously JDG are like, cool, we'll just take the Jhin into it. We've just as much poke. We have longer range as well because we've got that curtain call and something that can actually help us close the gap onto a Varus composition, which is what it really doesn't want. So I think here for JDG, like, really well executed when it came towards those team fights and just kind of understanding how we can try and slot in different champions to this meta that people aren't really considering.
I truly wonder how they'll go against some of the other top teams, though. Of course, this is only the first series. It's too early to judge TT or JDG. We can only have that expectation based on the roster, based on what we saw last split. But for me, for JDG, teams like FPX, RNG, EDG, if you make mistakes like that or you start punishing their strongest part of the map and they have no direction in the mid game, then things fall apart and, we do go to that game 3 and who knows from there. Kanavi's MVP again, Dagda. I do feel like this one was also deserved with how he cleaned up the fights. MVP count number 2 there. He picked up both. So, Kanavi's leading MVP rankings already. After his first series.
Of course he is. But yeah, I think Kanavi looking great in this Viego. The early game plays were amazing. I love how Kanavi has now transitioned into, hey, we understand how I can work with JDG and make these early plays happen, right? Even here, stealing away the Nautilus, so he guarantees that he's got both the hook and the CC as well, and being able to punish so effectively on this bottom side of the map after Patch making that one mistake where he kind of end up having to flash early on in the game. But overall, Kanavi doing a wonderful job, and when he did get to these spread out fights like this one, you can see just how strong he was on this Viego.
We also need to give a bit of a shout out to Lumao. I think his stats, as you said, by the end of the game, they wouldn't look good, but Lumao was the reason that a lot of these fights were so successful. Kanavi could clean up, Kanavi could join up with the boys in JDG because Lumao was such a driving force to bringing people like Xiaopeng, people like Sam D along for the ride with him. Lumao was that sacrificial lamb that gave the successful fights and positioning that JDG wanted.
Yeah, and you could see it in the clip that we just had, right? Zoning off both Captain and Sam D. Then you're looking at that big fight with Xiaopeng where he's able to take out. Honestly, I think there was step-ups across the board from JDG, and I'm excited now to see what they do going into summer.
Especially since I've just been told we're getting an interview with the MVP machine himself, the king of the jungle, at least within that series. We'll hold for the rest of the split. Kanavi is alongside Wendy, so we're going to throw it over to Shanghai in the Hongqiao Arena to find out what he has to say.
Hi everyone, welcome to the interview, and now I'm standing by with Kanavi, so congratulations on the win. And yesterday was your second anniversary of the LPL debut, so looking back through this whole 2 years journey, so what's your thought at this moment? 那首先恭喜你们获得比赛的胜利。昨天也是 Kanavi 在我们 LPL 出道2周年嘛，然后回顾一下这2年，有没有什么特别的感受呢？
일단 벌써 LPL에 온 지 2년 된 게 좀 신기한 것 같기도 하고 이제 2년 됐으니까 앞으로 더 열심히 해야 될 것 같아요.
So to me, it's a very interesting journey, and also because we are able to get the win. So I hope in the future we can even have a better performance. So my next question is looking through today's game. In game 1, your Rumble is definitely have the MVP level of performance, and you were from the ganks on the top lane. You were able to snowboard to open the whole situation, and also you were able to deal an abundance of damage in all team fights. So could we know more about how to open the situation in game 1 in the early phase? 那说到第一局，你的兰博可以说是当之无愧的 MVP 嘛，而且前期你就去干个上路，然后帮助队伍打开局面，而且每一波团战都有非常高额的输出，所以想问一下，你在前期是怎么样去帮助整个队伍来打开局势的？
일단 그 3레벨에 좀 좋게 갱 성공해가지고 좀 잘 커서 좀 많이 팀한테 도움 줬던 것 같아요.
Because for game 1, around the level 3, I was able to have the opportunities to make some ganks and also to do some things from the early phase. And then we were able to have a snowboard, and also with the help of my other teammates, we were able to get the win. And also let's talk a bit more about game 2, because you have picked the new champion Viego and have a very decent performance. So how would you evaluate this champion in the current meta? Because before the interview, you have also said something about this champion can be a tier 1 champion in the current meta. 没会，对，第二局比赛的时候，你也是拿到了新的破败之王这个英雄嘛，然后也想问一下，你有个非常好的一个表现，所以说想问一下你怎么评价这个英雄在这个版本的一个强度，而且你也是在我们采访前你也说到嘛，说这个英雄可能会成为一个 T1 级别的大野英雄。
일단 이 비에고라는 챔피언이 적 챔피언을 뺏어가지고 플레이한 챔피언인데 좀 약간 챔피언을 많이 해본 사람이라면 좀 이 챔피언이 많이 좋을 것 같아요.
I still feel this champion was able to pick on stage, and it also if you have if you can master with these champions, and also if you have so many champions to choose, definitely sometimes you can pick this champion in the current meta. And also my last question is somebody has said that in this meta, jungler is the most crucial can play the most crucial role in the current meta. So as a jungler player, how would you evaluate the function of a jungler? 那最后一个问题也是要问一下，其实有些人说，那可能在现在的一个版本，打野位置是最重要的。那作为一个打野选手，卡纳维对此有什么样的一个想法呢？
일단 사실 예전부터 그랬는데 정글 주도권은 라이너가 만드는 거라서 사실 탑미드 바텀 전부 다 잘하면 그냥 정글은 약간 업어갈 수 있는 그런 라인인 것 같아요.
Before I think like previously somebody have said like the priority of the jungler can be very crucial, and also I think with a very good mid, if the mid, the bot lane, and the other lanes they were able to have some priorities or can have some dominance. So definitely I think that will be even help the jungler to have a very good game. And so thank you for the sharing and congratulations again. 那再次的恭喜你们 and back to you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you to Wendy. Thank you to Kanavi as well, who, first of all, understands Chinese and you know, I'm sure can speak it as well. To Wendy, who can speak and understand Korean. And third of all, now I'm pretty sure Kanavi understands at least a bit of English because he was ready to grab the mic before the translation even begun. So good to hear from the MVP, the two-time MVP of that series, Dagda. The MVP who says that jungle, you know, is looking like the most important role where bottom lane can help out the position, as we saw from JDG's game plan.
Yeah, and it's good to see that Kanavi kind of understands where he slots in, but also like it's kind of nice to see them having this conversation again about how do we try and help out and play towards the jungle. Because one of the biggest problems that they had actually coming into Worlds 2020, JDG released a documentary and they were talking about the struggles that they had trying to fit into how the team can play towards Kanavi and kind of work in conjunction playing towards that jungle role. So it's nice to see now that that conversation seems to have started to get a few resolutions for JDG, and they're starting to look at that little bit better.
That's right, especially since for JDG, you know, they got a lot of flack for their place at Worlds and their performance, rather. But folks, of course, there is a second series tonight. Congratulations, JDG, for a 2-0. But coming up next, over in Hangzhou, which is LGD's home arena. So we are going to be shooting it live, starting in about 10 minutes' time. It'll be Rare Atom versus LGD. Stick around, sit back, get some oranges, get the sugar into your system, and we'll see you there.